Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Veikko and welcome to Phenomenal Creations, and hope you guys all are doing well as always. So today we're gonna do a pretty exciting tutorial, Superman Heat Vision. So there's a lot to go through, so let's go and get it on. Welcome to Adobe After Effects CC. Hope you all guys doing well as before. So now it's time to show you guys how to create this very great looking Superman Heat Vision. Okay, so let's go ahead and break it down. So usually what people do when they create a Heat Vision, they all almost just like create the glow in the eyes and some beams with the red glow. Okay, you could do that, but then you're doing like everyone else. So I'm going to show you a few extra techniques how to make your Heat Vision look even better. So, okay, let's break it down all the way from the beginning here. So we will do this glow effect, which adds on the glow in the eyes, and it gets more intense over the frames towards the laser shot or the energy shot, whatever you want to call it. And when it hits, you can see some distortion. There's going to some distortion going on, some ghosting, which just adds to the impact of the power of the Heat Vision. Then comes the shot itself. So we can see some pretty curvy, they're a bit distorted lines, which I think looks great. So not just straight white lines, a bit curvy and a bit more distorted. Then of course the red glow. I have actually two glow effects on it because that just adds on the glow in itself, and I'm going to show you that also in this tutorial. So then we have the energy flow, and this is what really sells the effect and makes it apart from the rest of the other tutorials. Not bragging, but anyhow, so this just adds to the very energetic and powerfulness of this glow. Okay, so that's also what I'm going to show you. Then heat distortion, because this assumably is very hot, so distorting a bit on the fence there you can see, and on the branches and around the beam itself. So that's something. And then some glow. The red glow is affecting our guy here on his clothes. That's also what I'm going to show you. And then of course some color grade. And I'm not using any color grading like plugins here. I can show you if I just solo this layer, you can see the difference of the final effect and after it has been color graded. So it looks pretty awesome. So as I said, and if I didn't, I say now, this tutorial will be in two parts. So we're going to do all the boring and the hard work in the beginning, like shaping the effect, and the other one we're going to fine tune it and make it look like this. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the tutorial then. Okay, so first things first, if you want my footage, this one you will be able to download it in the description down below, so you can go ahead and download it and follow along with the tutorial if that helps you. If you want to shoot your own, please do that if you want to, but if you want to use mine to begin with, that's also great too. So go ahead in the link down in the description and let's go and download those footages. Okay, so the first thing to do is to obviously track our eyes, because the beams come out of our eyes, we are moving, the camera's moving, so they have to be parented to our eyes somehow. And there's several ways how you can do this, not a million, but several. What I usually recommend you to do is to use the built-in tracker, the motion tracking points inbuilt in After Effects, but I couldn't use it because my brother here was actually a bit out of focus, so it was quite blurry when you really zoom in, if you know what I mean. Okay, now it's super boxy because I have this on a third resolution setting. Really suggest you have it because we will be working with a lot of effects later on, so it will just make everything move more snazzy. So I will be go ahead and hand animate this the tracking data we need, and how I'm going to do that is Not any more hard than creating a new null object, moving it to my eyes, and then I zoom in, hit P on our keyboard to get the position properties, click on the stopwatch to get our first keyframe here. Then I will go 1 frame forward, and then I will use the arrow keys or the mouse key, whatever you want to choose, and just follow my eyes here. So it's not harder than this, and you just keep going for the sequence you need. So I will be skipping ahead doing the both eyes, so I won't be bore you down, and I'll be back just in a second when I have successfully tracked my both eyes, or my brother's eyes. Okay, so now I have tracked my the both eyes doing this hand method. So if we go look at the keyframes, every frame is occupied with a keyframe. So it took a while, but here we go. So we can see how they're moving like my eye's supposed to. And that looks great. So now we got the left and the right eye. We can go ahead and change this to source name. I have already changed the names, but if you want to go change them, hit enter on your keyboard while holding the name and change it to whatever you fit needed. So this is just a way to keep me organized. And right now it's time to create the beams itself. So how I did that, I was using a plugin to speed up the process. Not so if you don't have the plugin, it doesn't mean you can't do the effect. This just speeded up my process. And so I will be going over how to use that plugin first, and then I will show you the alternative or tell you the workaround of if you don't have it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the Red Giant 3D stroke effect. But to begin with, let's go ahead and create a new solid over here. So let's take this solid and make it white, and we can call it just beam like this, and let's drop the opacity using T on our keyboard to get our opacity so we see what we are doing. So the shot starts there. There I want the shot to start. So we'll go ahead and click on my eye, and then somewhere in the distance, some kind of straightforward matching the perspective of where he's shooting. Okay, so then we hit M on our keyboard to use the mask path properties. And then I will go ahead and click on the stopwatch. And then just selecting this point, so shift click, so we don't have used both points, and then click again, so we just have this active and not this one. Go 1 frame forward, and then just move this point as needed. You can go several frames, because this can be quite rough, because when we add all the glows and all the lasers and the energy, we won't see if it goes a few inches from our screen to the left or the right or up or down. So this is what we do for the both eyes, and because we use in 3D stroke, this will add a stroke to just this length, creating the beam. But if you don't have the plugin, what the only difference is that you like create with the pen tool. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this and let's create another one. So we make just like a small rectangle like this, and this is our beam here. And then you make it thinner if you want to, and then you just animate these 2 points to move with the eyes. That's the only difference. And okay, so I'll be cutting and jumping to the part when I have tracked roughly my both eyes with 2 different masks. See you guys soon. Okay, so now I have tracked my both eyes. If I go and select them, you can see the points moving with my eyes here. So this looks pretty great. So now we have done that. So let's go ahead and create the beams itself. So we'll select my first beam, and I could go ahead and bump up the opacity back to 100% so we can see it. Then let's find 3D stroke. So some people have this plugin, some people don't, but this is just to make my life a bit faster, a bit easier. So this is how it looks like. Okay, awesome. So the next thing to do is, if you watch, this works pretty good. And as said, this is just a plugin to make this a bit easier, but for you who doesn't have this plugin, you just animate and position the 4 mask points to match the thickness you want, the roundness using feather. You all know this stuff. Super easy, super simple. Okay, so now what we need to do is to animate this positioning. So it begins from the eyes and shoot it out fastly, and then he shoots for a while, and then it will end. It will just fly past him. So that's what we could actually start with. So let's go ahead and click on the start and the end properties at stopwatches. So we create this animation there. Hit U on your keyboard so you can see the both keyframes. Now let's start with the end going in to 0. And this is basically like from the scale from 0 to 100 when the end will be reached, and the start same thing. So it could be a bit confusing. So let's go out just a few frames forward and let's hit the end to 100. So now it will look like something like this. Goes pretty fast, pretty dynamic, looks great. Okay, awesome. So then we go ahead and move forward somewhere around there when I want the beam to stop working. You can go ahead and delete that keyframe from the start because we need it now. Hit the start key there and move a few frames and then to 100. So basically what we have done is made this. Okay, so this is pretty simple, and yet again, if you don't have this plugin, you just animate the mask path of these two to move fastly over a few frames to the end of the clip. So you all know this. It's not that super hard. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And as you can see, it's not perfectly tracked to the eye, but it doesn't have to be. Just roughly. Because when we add all the glows and all the things, it doesn't matter anymore. Okay, so now let's just repeat the same process for the next eye. Alright, so now I have created the both beams for the both eyes, and I just offsetted the keyframes. They have the exact same animations, but I offset it with one frame both, so they look like they begin and end in a bit different kind of like pace, so it looks a bit more interesting. Okay, so now it's time to a bit play with the thickness. I want the beams to be powerful, so I want them to be big as well. So we'll bump up the thickness for the both to 20%, or like 20, or like 18 actually. 18 could look cool. Okay, that's well. So let's jump to the other one and also put that to 18. Okay, then we can go ahead to taper and enable taper. That's just to make the beginning of the beam a bit more thinner, and then it will be like the thicker in the end. So the start thickness is something like 50 and the end thickness is 100. So it's settled thing, but I think it sells the effect a bit more. So it's like it's growing on you. So let's put it to somewhere around 56 and then 100 in the end. So we have this. Okay, cool. Okay, so this looks pretty ridiculous now. It doesn't look that great yet. So the next thing to add some more shape to these beams. How we do that, let's go ahead and find turbulent displays. Turbulent displays, okay? And then let's put on the first beam. Let's work on the first one, and then let's just apply it to the second one afterwards. And let's keep it on turbulent. Let's put the amount to like 30. And let's take the size to 10. And then the complexity to 2. Okay, so it will be add some more distortion, a bit more like this ruggedness to this beam, because energy is not perfectly symmetric. It's always evolving and forming out. So let's look how this looks like. Okay, it looks okay. But now it doesn't look like it's going forward. It just looks like it's evolving on its place. So how are we going to fix that? Let's go ahead and animate the offset of this effect. So let's click on the stopwatch there. Let's move to the end of the clip and make it move on the x-axis because we're going from left to right. So let's bump up this value to something like 3000. Okay, so let's look how this looks like. All right, so now it looks like it's actually going forward. The offset is actually like moving the whole displacement forward. So this starts to look something. Okay, so let's go ahead and apply it to the other eye as well. All right, so now we got this. Okay, that looks pretty cool. So we have put our both the displacements and the distortions for the both beams, and they look pretty awesome. Okay, the next thing to do is to actually create the glow effect on it. So now we can, the hardest part is over now. So we can start making this look a bit more cool. So let's go ahead and select both of the beam layers and pre-compose them using the pre-composing action, hitting the Command Shift C or Control Shift C depending if you're Mac or PC, and call this just beams, keeping everything organized. And then we can go ahead and look where it begins right there. We can go ahead and split this layer so we don't have to work with long lights, so we know where everything starts. So like this, that looks cool. Now let's go ahead and find the glow effect. Glow effect right there. Okay, so now we have to put on the glow, and we're gonna use two glow effects to really enhance the heatness. So let's first take this to something like 30, the threshold, and the radius something like 50, and the intensity could be at 1, and use just white. So we just have this white glow. Now let's go ahead and duplicate that effect, and let's make this radius now like 20, and the radius to 150, and the intensity to, well, we can adjust it if we want to, and change the glow colors to A and B colors, so we use these two to get the color. And then we just find the red, that kind of red we want. That's something, and let's also change the other one. This way we could actually make it a bit more fiery red. Like this. Alright, let's look at how this looks like. Okay, now we get some pretty exciting glow here. Okay, this is shaping to the effect we want here soon enough. Okay, so we have the glow, and now we can go close this up, and the last thing to do in this part of this tutorial is to create the eye glows, so make the eye actually glow. So we can go ahead and turn off the beams, and there's several ways you can do it. You can use solids and feathering and glow effects like this one. I will be using Video Copilot's optical flares because they just work the best. So basically what I do is to hit Control Y for a solid, call this flare, and then I will go ahead and find optical flares, click on the options to find all customizable things here, and then we have to find a light. The blue spark is good, and then we just go ahead and to start deleting all these irises what we don't need. So hit on the iris and just taking everything we don't need away here, everything but the glow. Aspect ratio there to make it a bit more wider, and then let's put the scale down, something like this. And let's make it white, the global color. Let's go to click OK and make it go add. Let's put it on our eyes, and let's make it red. Okay, let's go ahead and find the beams itself. Okay, let's go put it on the beams on so we can get the coloring. So let's go ahead and change the color to this red, like this, and put it on the eye and put the scale to very low. Something like 20. Looks pretty cool. And well, let's actually put the brightness to 20. There's a small difference, but okay. Now it looks pretty cool. And then what we do to make it actually go with the eye, so we have to parent this moving information to the parent layer. And how we're going to do that is to actually go to the position XY and alt click on the stopwatch. So we like creating an expression. Let's go to this is the right eye, so let's go down to the right eye, click on position. Let's go to the first frame where we need it, and right there, and then let's click the pick whip tool and just take it down to the position like this. Then we can just click this away and look how it looks like. So now it's moving with our guy. So that looks pretty awesome. So the next thing to do is to actually just make the exact same thing to the other eye. So it's just to duplicate the layer, and then I'll take the expression, find the expression, let's go down, effects, optical flares, position XY. Let's go ahead and alt click that again. Now let's go to the left eye, P on our position, so let's get the position, and then let's just drag this to the left eye position, like this. Okay, let's look at it. Alright, so now we got some glowing eyes. Okay, so these match way too much, so we have to go and play with this a bit. So let's go ahead and turn off the null layers so they don't disturb us. The other flare, let's take the brightness to 15, so just a bit smaller. Now let's go here when he's charging, right there where the null the tracking begins. Let's go ahead and select both of these flares, select both of the brightness values, hit U on our keyboard, and let's have it on 15 when the laser starts, and put this to 0. So it's like now we get creating this charge up glow. And then to the other flare, also put the brightness. Let's move this keyframe there and put this to 0. So now they're like getting the glow there, and it builds up to the effect itself. Like this. Okay, so the last thing to do here is to actually fade them away then. So right there, they could actually start fading away. So let's put a keyframe there. And then when the ending is here, and let's put a keyframe right there. Let's do the thing to the other one too. And fade it to 0. Okay, so this is what we got. So this was this part of the tutorial. So now we have like shaped the effect itself, put the glow and everything. So click on the screen right now if you want to go ahead and check out the next part where we're gonna make good look great. So all the distortions, all the energy flowing, the glowing on the guy, and the final color grade. So thanks for watching this part, and I'll see you guys in the next part.